If you've opened DaVinci and worked in it a little, then you know it's a pretty powerful tool for video editing. However, many people, including myself at first, especially after switching from the social media grade Premiere, ignore the effects tab. Later, I discovered the ones I now use in my everyday workflow. They save a ton of time and make the edit much more dynamic, and most importantly, they don't look cringe. So now I'll show you the effects you can use on a regular basis. The first thing to mention is where the effects are located in the first place. If you look at the upper left corner, you'll see the effects tab, and everything is there. You have video transitions, audio transitions, the effects themselves, different filters, and audio effects. And the first one I want to highlight is blanking fill. It's used very often nowadays because sometimes you get formats where, for example, you have horizontal video but need to insert a vertical clip. Normally you would add the clip to the timeline. It's vertical, you duplicate it, enlarge the lower layer, apply blur, tweak the blur. In other words, a whole chain of actions. But there's a much easier way. You have a vertical clip in a horizontal project, you find blanking fill, drop it on, and that's it. The result is ready after a single action. Literally one click and everything is done. Moreover, you can also adjust settings like edge softness, how your background is blurred, and how much it blends with the fade color, which you can choose here and set the temperature of your background. In short, it's a very simple effect that works in 2 clicks and makes your life a million times easier. The next effect worth mentioning is camera shake. For example, you might need it when you have a completely static shot. The camera is still, nothing is happening, people are just walking, boring. Let's add a bit of movement. But the main thing is not to overdo it and turn it into an earthquake by increasing the speed and motion scale so it shakes like crazy. On the other hand, sometimes that's exactly what you need. For example, if you want to convey aggression from your speaker showing that he's angry, you crank up camera shake and you get this aggressive shaking. But normally you only need a slight handheld-like motion, so you set something like 0.3. And now the camera gently moves as if someone is holding it. You can also tweak additional settings in this effect and achieve completely different results depending on what you need. Let's move on to another very powerful tool, adjustment clip. This is an empty container with absolutely nothing inside. If you open Fusion, you'll see only media in and media out, but you can add any nodes you want. For example, I added color correction. I want the whole image under the adjustment clip to become this intense yellow. As you see, the footage is normal, but when the adjustment clip appears, it switches to this color grade. You can adjust the duration of the clip and place it anywhere you need. Basically, you can put anything you want in it and use it throughout your timeline. For example, you have a talking head shot, let's say a podcast guest. You want the framing to occasionally change, zoom in and out. You take an adjustment clip, drop it on the timeline and increase the zoom, say to 1.2. You can also shift it slightly to look more natural. And that's it. You get a zoom effect without touching the actual clip. You can duplicate adjustment clips with Alt and adjust your shots easily. There are tons of tricks you can do with adjustment clip. The main thing is to experiment. Let's continue torturing this podcast head. For example, I want an image to appear now flying in from a corner. It should enter from the left and then exit back. To do this, you find push in the effects, drop it on the clip, adjust the duration, and the image flies in. Then you alt drag to copy it, place it at the end, switch it to push right, and now it flies out. You can adjust both clip length and effect duration. You can tweak motion blur around 0.2, maybe even 0.4 for more fun. Add ease in out. And now you have a much nicer animation. Then you copy everything again to the end of the clip so that the motion blur and easing match. Set push right and that's it. Push left followed by push right. This way you can add images to your video without going into Fusion, without adding a transform node and animating it manually. No need, the push effect does the job. The next effect is edge wipe. What does it do? It lets you show before and after. For example, you have color grading. Some places are graded, some not, and you want to show the difference. You use edge wipe. Why wipe? Because it wipes one image and replaces it with another. It's similar to push, but push physically pushes while wipe erases and replaces. drop it on top of the clip with color grading or even a new character. Change the angle, say 90 degrees so it comes from the side, and look at the result. It perfectly shows before after. You can use it for beauty salons, nails before, nails after. It's a must-have effect that helps visualize results. There's another trick that speeds up workflow. Not an effect itself, but how you find them. I already said you can browse the Effects tab, but there's a simpler way added in recent DaVinci versions, Shift+Space. A window appears where you can find the effects you need. It even shows your recent searches. You don't need to know the exact name. You can guess. For example, I think there's a slide effect. I type it, and here it is as a transition. There's slide, slide down, left, right, up, various versions, and also slide animations for text. This makes finding effects very fast. Shift+Space. Problem solved.